Hello and welcome to Eye on Africa, your daily continental roundup show. I'm Jean-Emile Jamin, and coming up, there's a looming battle against election flyposters in the DRC. We speak to activists in Kinshasa, raising awareness of illegal and possibly premature candidate advertising ahead of December's presidential vote. Then Burkina Faso's military leaders have declared a general mobilization, a legal framework which allows the junta rulers to freely combat the growing jihadist threat in the country. And in Guinea, Ramadan brings communities together as they share their Iftar meals. But women are starting to feel the strain, expected to fund and prepare the feasts while continuing day-to-day domestic chores. Thanks for joining us. In the DRC, civil society activists are tracking fly posting in the capital. More and more, posters of political personalities can be seen in the streets of Kinshasa. Now, a group of dissidents has begun to raise awareness denouncing what they consider electoral advertisements when the electoral campaign has not officially begun. Aurélie Bazara met with several of those activists to get a deeper perspective with this report.
Phones in hand, they raid the streets of Messina.
Sometimes we do this all day.
The electoral campaign is yet to start, and these activists are already tackling what they consider a major issue in the country's capital, fly posting.
Some politicians have taken the registration period as a green light to start their election campaign. It's illegal.
In just one day and on one single road, the group took pictures of at least 10 signs.
Here's another campaign poster. We're here to identify those people and to note down their names as well as the political party they belong to.
They will then share the data with all civil society members who take part in this census. It's a collective effort to make public authorities accountable.
We will pass on all the information we've gathered to the Electoral Commission. We want the Commission to do its utmost to bar all the candidates who launched illegal, premature campaigns from running in the elections.
For the CENI, the Congolese Independent Electoral Commission, these are not campaign ads, and those politicians aren't calling for the population to vote for them. They are, in fact, encouraging the Congolese to enroll. The Commission, however, has admitted that the signs can create a level of confusion made worse by an absent legal framework.
The law is very clear on the time frame for presidential, national, and provincial elections. Candidates can start campaigning 30 days before polls open and must stop 24 hours before voting starts. But what if someone flouts that regulation and campaigns outside that time frame? The law is silent.
The Congolese electoral campaign is set to start at the end of the year, with the presidential election scheduled for December.
And much of that election will focus on how to contain the growing violence in the eastern part of the country. Well, more than 40 people, including 5 children, were killed on Friday in 3 villages across the territory of Jugu. The Codeco militia is accused of conducting the killings, attacking at around 5 a.m. on Friday before being thwarted by the Congolese army several hours later. The Codeco are a rebel group of several thousand men which claim to protect the Lendu tribe from the Hema, who are defended by another militia called the Zaire, as well as the army that is who the Codeco fight against. Well, according to security sources in the region, the new killings may have been in retaliation for an attack by the Zaire militia on 3 Codeco chiefs killed 3 days ago. Burkina Faso's military junta on Friday announced a general mobilization. It's meant to give the state any means necessary to combat a string of jihadist attacks since the start of the year. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who is Burkina Faso's transitional president, who recently staged a coup in September, well, he set a goal of recapturing 40% of the country's territory, and that's the amount currently controlled by jihadists affiliated with Al-Qaeda and Islamic State group. Caroline Lambolet takes a closer look.
The announcement made headlines in Burkina Faso on Friday, after a presidential decree was issued on the previous day announcing a general mobilization in the country. There still isn't any timetable for the call-up, but for these residents in the capital, it has come as good news.
I'm ready to go to the front. I'm ready to defend my dear country. It's by fighting that we'll be able to liberate our country. Because right now, it's as though we're living in captivity. That's it. We have to do something. We can't just keep quiet and talk.
I think if everyone takes this measure to heart, every citizen of Burkina Faso takes it to heart, we'll be able to fight terrorism. But if we only look to the army to do this, it's going to be complicated.
For years, the Burkina Faso army has been facing an insurgency by jihadist groups. Last week alone, 44 civilians were killed in 2 attacks in the northeast, near the border with Niger. The constant threat has given rise to a civilian militia, known as the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland. But despite these reinforcements, attacks have continued. Over the years, this has sometimes sparked anger on the streets, like here in Dori, in the northeast, after a deadly attack in 2021. With the latest decree, the state says it wants to give itself all necessary means to combat the insurgents. The decree gives the military authorities the right to requisition people, goods, and services. The authorities will also be able to inspect and redistribute energy resources and other products deemed essential for the war effort.
A court of appeal in Morocco has greatly increased the jail sentences given to 3 men for repeatedly raping an 11-year-old girl. The case sparked public outrage after a lower court convicted the men of indecent assault, sentencing them to between 18 months and 2 years in prison. The appeals court in Rabat has now revised the sentences to 20 years in jail for the main defendant and 10 years for the other 2. But lawyers of the victim says it's still not enough.
We're going to appeal to the Supreme Court after consultation with the victim's family, because we do not understand why the 2 defendants were only sentenced to 10 years in prison, even though they all deserve a heavy punishment, given the monstrous nature of what they did.
Well, the launch of Kenya's first operational Earth observation satellite has been postponed for the 4th time. Kenya's space agency, KSA, put a halt to the takeoff on Friday due to high wind levels in space, which might interfere with the rocket's trajectory in landing in the right orbit. Well, dubbed Taifa 1, the satellite's main purpose will be to help decision makers with a wide range of issues, including agriculture, food security, national resource management, etc. But if the conditions aren't good for a launch, there's no point in taking a risk.
That is a normal problem. In fact, this is a fair one because it's just 3 days. In some cases, they can delay it up to months. The risk here is if we choose to ignore the weather advice, we may lose what we intend to launch as in terms of the right trajectory, in terms of getting the right orbital slots.
Muslims around the world are heading into the last week of Ramadan, the famed religious festival that requires fasting during daylight hours. But in Guinea and elsewhere in West Africa, the celebration is particularly hard work for women. Malik Diakite, Sarah Sako and Sam Bradpiece spoke to some of them in the capital Conakry. Take a listen.
I sell aubergines. I sell cabbage.
Aisha Diallo runs a small market stall in the suburbs of Conakry. During Ramadan, she wakes up at 4 a.m. to cook for her family before going to work.
I come here at 6 a.m. to sell vegetables. At 2 p.m. I go home to cook for my husband.
Back at home, Aisha's work is only just beginning. Like the majority of Ghanaian women at this time of year, she's putting in the hours.
Hello. Are you well?
Tradition dictates that women have to cook for their families during Ramadan.
Right, I must get on with it because I'm already running late.
Aisha is cooking for a dozen people.
It's already 5 p.m. I need to hurry up to finish preparing the meal to break my family's fast. You've seen for yourself, I got home and haven't stopped for a minute. For us women, it's an enormous struggle. We truly suffer.
The workday is nearly over, but before she can put her feet up, Aisha must first serve her husband and the rest of the family.
It's normal. Women must seek blessings from their husbands because it's Ramadan.
Asmao has been speaking out since the start of Ramadan to raise awareness of the enormous burden placed on women during this period.
Women have to seek blessings from their families, their in-laws, and wider society. So why shouldn't men? If you make your wife happy, that's a blessing. We're telling men to help their wives. You shouldn't marry someone just to make them your slave.
For now, tradition reigns king in Guinea. Even outside of Ramadan, women have the exclusive responsibility for housework.
Well, it might be an exclusive responsibility there, but in other parts of the continent, it is in fact the men who roll up their sleeves as they prepare the traditional iftar meal. We leave you with these images from Tajura, Libya, where men gather to prepare bazin bread, a dough made from barley, water and salt.